Hello, everybody. Today we're going to talk about taking tricks in a suit contract by Ruffing in the shorthand. It's going to be, to some extent, a review of what we did last week, but with a particular emphasis on roughing in the shorthand. So let me share my screen and we can get going. Alrighty, seventh week of declarer play. Last week we talked about planning the play of a suit contract, and today we'll emphasize the benefits of roughing in the shorthand. Rough in bridge is a verb to play a card in the trump suit, taking a trick the opponents were going to win. For example, they lead an ace, you're void in that suit, you play a card from your trump suit, and you win the trick. I always like to put an image on this page that fits the topic, so I Googled, searched Trump in dummy, but I can't show anything that came up. So where are we? Seventh week of declarer play, and then we'll do 4 weeks on defense, and then turn to bidding. So again, today will be largely review and amplification of last week's material. When we get to the end of week 24, we go back to the beginning because repetition is the key to learning. Planning the play of a suit contract. Excellent, excellent book on declare play. Planning the play of a bridge hand by Barbara Seagram and David Bird. It's very accessible. Some books on declare play, by the time you get to chapter 2, they're just in the stratosphere and you can't follow anything at all, or at least I can't. And I strongly recommend this one. In fact, it comes with a set of exercises, and I think you can download the exercises for free. I recommend printing out the exercises and the solutions. And after you've read the whole book, just every morning, do 3 of the exercises, not more. Just do 3 of them, and then the next day start from there and do 3 more. And it'll take you about a month to get through all of them, and then you can just circle around and do them again. So how do we plan the play of a suit contract? We pick the hand that has the longer trump suit. Sometimes each hand has, say, 4 trump, and then we would pick the hand that is stronger, has more aces and kings. We count the losers in that hand. We'll look at examples again today. And then we look for ways to eliminate those losers, or to me, the words that work best are just make them go away. We can rough the losers in dummy. That'll be largely the focus today. We can discard them on winners in a suit that we've established in dummy, or we can take finesses. Those are the 3 primary ways to make losers go away. We can use all the tools that we worked on when talking about playing a no trump hand. We can establish honor cards. We can establish long suits in our hand as declare, or in dummy. We can take finesses, and we can lead toward unsupported honors. Usually, in a suit contract, we call trump soon because we want to take the trump away from the opponents so that they can't rough any of our good cards. But today we'll look at some examples where you must delay calling trump if you have important work to do. This is a really, really important tool and topic to keep in mind as you're declaring hands in the future. Example of roughing a loser or trumping a loser. Contract is 4 spades by South. We identify the long trump hand, which is South. We count losers. The spade suit is solid. There are no losers in the spade suit. And if we look at the diamond suit, the king of diamonds in dummy covers the 8. This is literally how I see it in my brain when I look at dummy and my hand. And the King of Hearts will cover one of the heart losers, one of the small heart cards in my hand. But there are 4 potential losing tricks. The defense could take 3 tricks in clubs and 1 trick in hearts. And that's what would happen in a no trump contract. Is there anything we can do about the heart loser? And the answer is yes. We can plan to rough it in dummy. So what we'll do is we'll take away the opponent's trumps. Let's assume they split 2-2 or 3-1, and we'll rough the heart loser in dummy. We will lead over to the king. Remember the idea of playing high from the short side to facilitate transportation, and then we'll lead back to the ace, and that leaves us with 1 small heart in our hand and none in dummy, and we lead over and rough it. If we took the ace first and then the king, we'd have to come back to our hand somehow in order to rough the heart. So it's always good to try to plan one step ahead in cases like this. We'll lead the last heart and we'll rough it in dummy. And the heart loser is gone away. Nothing we can do about the club losers. Here's a second example. Very, very similar hand. I just took away the king of hearts and turned it into a small diamond. So very, very similar. We identify the long trump hand. Again, it's south for spade contract. Spade suit is solid, no losers. The eight of diamonds in our hand is not a loser because it's going to be covered by the king of diamonds. We do, however, have one, two, three, four, five losing tricks in our hand. Three losing clubs and potentially two losing hearts. The idea is if we just ran all our trumps, there'd be nothing we could do about the two little hearts. So is there anything we can do about those losers? Not the club losers, but the heart losers, yes. We can plan to rough them in dummy. So let's win the opening trick in our hand, and we'll lead a heart and rough it in dummy. And then we'll come back to our hand. I'd probably come back with the ace of diamonds, and we'll lead another heart and rough the second heart in dummy. Let me use the annotator to show this. Opening lead is the queen of hearts. We win it. We rough a heart in dummy. We come back to our hand and we lead another heart, and we rough it in dummy. And now we go about calling trump. Caution. If spades split 3-1, you can't take away all their spades first. Oh, I guess I should have shown the hand that way. Let me do that. Suppose I win the ace of hearts and I immediately call trump. Um, Takes me 1, 2, 3 rounds to call trump if they're 3-1. Now I lead a heart and I rough it in dummy, but I'm out of trump in dummy. So I need to plan ahead. I need to rough two hearts in dummy. So if the spades are 3-1, I can't take away all of their trumps first. So I'm going to have to delay calling trump. How would that work? Sometimes we delay calling trump. Let me take a look at how we might do that. Um, we win the first heart. We rough a heart in dummy. We call one round a trump. We call another round of trump. And if the spades split 3-1, somebody still has one spade. So we lead the heart and we rough it in dummy. And now we come back to our hand and now we can finish calling trump. So sometimes you have to delay calling trump if you need the trumps that are in dummy in the shorthand. Again, you can eliminate losers by roughing them. Here are the two examples we looked at. 3 potential club losers and a heart loser. We roughed the heart in dummy. 3 potential club losers and 2 heart losers. We roughed both hearts in dummy. And with time at the table, you'll just recognize these solutions almost by reflex. At this point, when you're early in your bridge career, you have to look at it, think about it for a while. But after enough time at the table, that's the key to learning in bridge, is just spending time at the table. You'll look at this first hand and say, nothing I can do about the clubs, gotta rough the heart. My plan for the hand is call trump. Don't use them all up, but start calling trump and rough one heart. Same idea down here, but I want to rough 2 hearts. Important terminology. We looked at this hand. Dummy, in this case, is called the short trump hand, and declarer is the long trump hand. Here's another example. I think we played this hand last week as an example. Dummy is the short trump hand, and south is declare is the long trump hand. Usually the short trump hand is dummy, like in these examples. Sometimes it's not, particularly when you have used a Jacobi transfer, which we'll talk about in week 22. So again, terminology, the short trump hand and the long trump hand. We want to ruff in the short hand, in the hand that has fewer trump. Why? Well, let's take a look at this. Suppose we're playing a spade contract, and I'm going to look at several different hands that declarer might hold. Here, declarer's hand is going to take one, two, three, four, five spade tricks and the ace of clubs. It's going to take six tricks. Let me change the shape a little bit. Ooh, now we might ruff a diamond in our hand. We're still only going to take one, two, three, four, five, six tricks in our hand because the spade that we're ruffing with is a card that was going to take a trick anyway. Ruffing a spade over here doesn't add a trick. And even let's make it void, they lead a diamond and we ruff it. Well, we prevented them from taking that diamond trick, but we didn't add a trick. We're already going to take five spade tricks and a club in our hand. So ruffing in the long hand does not add tricks. It may be very important, but it doesn't add tricks to our total because you're going to win those trump tricks anyway. Let's look at some dummy hands in a spade contract that I paired up with the first one of those declarer hands. Here's dummy number one. Well, I don't see any shortness in dummy. I'm not going to be able to ruff any cards in dummy. So this dummy is going to take the ace king of hearts. It's going to take two tricks. Now let's change the shape of that hand a little bit. Let's move one of the clubs to another suit. Aha! Now I can still take the ace king of hearts, but I can give up a club, win the ace of clubs, and ruff a club in dummy. So because of the shortness in clubs, dummy is going to take three tricks if I ruff a club over there. Let me make the shape even more extreme. Now dummy's going to win the ace king of hearts, but also I'm going to play the ace of clubs and ruff a club, and then I'm going to get back to my hand. I'm going to ruff another club. So this dummy is going to take four tricks if I ruff two clubs. Again, ruffing diamonds in the long hand doesn't add any tricks, but ruffing clubs in the shorthand does add tricks. This is the key message of today. Super, super important. Again, ruffing in the long hand doesn't add any tricks. There's the short trump hand and the long trump hand. You're taking five spade tricks. No ifs, ands, or buts. If you ruff a diamond in the south hand, that's the long trump hand, you're using a trump trick that you're going to win anyway. The most important and elusive fact in today's presentation, ruffing in the long trump hand does not add any tricks. Yeah, when you get a little more experienced, you'll see that occasionally you can ruff so many in the long hand that you turn the other hand into the long hand, but I don't want to talk about that today. And occasionally you can do a cross ruff, that's once in a blue moon, and that'll add tricks. But generally, you want to ruff in the short trump hand, not the long trump hand. And again, we looked at this hand. If we take the king of hearts, then the ace of hearts, and ruff in dummy, we have added a trick because we're ruffing in the short hand. If we had just played the whole spade suit, we'd take five tricks, but dummies would all be gone. If we save some trump in dummy, we can ruff once. That's one spade trick from the ruff plus the five in the long hand. Again, you want to ruff in the shorthand. I think I'm being repetitious today, but this presentation is titled Taking Tricks in a Suit Contract by Ruffing in the Shorthand. It is not called Taking Tricks in a Suit Contract by Ruffing in whatever hand you feel like. So we want to ruff in the shorthand. Sometimes declarer is the short trump hand. If you've seen Jacobi transfer bidding, let me give you a review. If not, ignore the next 30 seconds. When we're bidding, all we're trying to do is answer two questions: what suit and how high. South is the dealer. Let's assume that all the opponents pass. I count 4, 8, 10, 15 high card points. It's a balanced hand. South is going to open one, no trump. As soon as South opens one no trump, North knows, gosh, I'm looking at eight hearts. Opener had at least two. I'm sorry, I'm looking at six hearts. Opener had at least two. So we have an eight card heart fit. So I know the answer to the first question, what suit? And also, I see 13 high card points. I know we have the strength for game. So I know we want to play in game. I know we want to play in four hearts. Back in my mom's day, the dummy, the North hand, would simply have bid four hearts. Nowadays, we have more sophisticated tools that we'll discuss in week 22. North bids two diamonds, which says, hey, partner, bid two hearts. South complies, and now North places the contract in four hearts, and South is thrilled. So the contract is four hearts by South. In this case, declarer is the short trump hand, but don't let that confuse you. All that matters is we identify the long trump hand, in this case, North. We count the losers. There's a loser in diamonds. There's one loser in, whoops, that's a typo. There's one loser in clubs. And there's one loser in spades. So this is a mistake. This should say three losers. I'll fix that. Um, what's your plan? Well, your plan is to rough a diamond in South and then take a spade finesse. So, important point, don't use up all of South's hearts when you're calling trump. Suppose you have nine trumps, suppose they split 3-1. If you call all their trumps first, then you can't rough the diamond in dummy. So how would I play this hand? Let's imagine life is easy and they lead the queen of diamonds. Um, I'm going to win the king. I'm going to win the ace, and I'm going to lead a heart, and I'm going to rough it in dummy. My diamond loser has now gone away. Now I'm going to go about calling trump. One, two, maybe it takes 3 rounds. Um, and now the only other thing I want to do in this hand is try the spade finesse. Right? So my plan for the hand was rough a diamond and take a spade finesse. Let me lead toward the ace queen, planning to play the queen. If the king is over on the right, when I play the queen, it wins a trick, and my spade loser has gone away. So again, there was only one club loser because the ace covered one of them. I'll fix that before I post the hand. And we made the diamond loser go away by roughing it in dummy. So again, plan on the hand, rough one diamond loser in dummy, and try the spade finesse 50-50. Notice that in a no trump contract, we would have taken 6 heart tricks, one spade, one club, that's 8, and 2 diamonds is 11. We add a trick when we rough the diamond in the south hand. And again, if we had called 3 rounds of trump first, we couldn't have roughed the diamond. So we want to rough in the short hand. And if we're a little short in trump in dummy, we want to rough before we finish calling trump. So roughing in the short hand will add tricks. Roughing in the long hand does not add tricks. They're tricks you are going to win anyway. This is a hugely important idea. Once again, roughing in the long hand does not add tricks. Roughing in the short hand does. Usually, the short hand is dummy. This is the example we looked at a couple times already today. You want to rough one heart in dummy. And the hand we just looked at, sometimes declarer is the short hand. It doesn't change the way you think about the hand. You pick the long trump hand, you count losers. One spade loser, one club loser, one diamond loser. Let's rough the diamond loser. Sometimes we have to rough high. This is the same hand that we looked at before. So South is the long trump hand, no diamond losers, 3 club losers, and 1 heart loser. Our plan is to rough a heart in dummy. Let's say we get the opening lead of the queen of diamonds. I'm anticipating the need to get back to my hand. I'm probably going to go ahead and win this in dummy. And I'm going to start calling trump. So let me imagine that I play the ace of trump. And let's suppose that one of the hands shows out. So this person follows suit, they play a spade, but this person discards. They don't have any spades. So now I know that this person has all four spades. I'm a little worried that they might run out of hearts when I'm trying to ruff my heart in dummy. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cash the king of hearts and I'm going to come over to my hand, and now I'm going to lead the heart to ruff in dummy. But I'm not going to ruff small, I'm going to ruff with a high one. I have plenty of high cards to finish calling trump, so I'm going to ruff with a high spade, and now I'm going to come back to dummy and finish calling my trumps, and I will have eliminated the heart loser. If I had roughed low and East was out of hearts, East could have over roughed. So two things here. One is we couldn't afford to call all the trump because we needed to rough one. And secondly, we were a little worried that the person over here with the long spades might be short in hearts. So since we had plenty of high spades, we could rough high ones. Let me go through the text on this slide. The plan was take away their trump, lead to the king of hearts, lead back to the ace of hearts, lead the last heart, and rough it in dummy. That was our plan for the hand. But then West discarded on the first spade trick. So we know East has all four of their spades. First point, if we take away all their trump, we don't have any left in dummy and we can't rough the last heart. And the second thing to worry about is that if East has only two hearts, we can't rough with the two or the three because East will over rough. And we're lucky this time. We have plenty of high spades. So what we'll do is we'll rough that heart with a high spade. And then we'll finish taking away East spades. And we'll end up losing our three clubs, but that's it. Another important point, using dummies assets. This is the way I think of it. We get the lead of the king of clubs. What is the most important thing we see in dummy? Well, it looks like South has five possible losers, three hearts, and two clubs. What's our plan for getting rid of losers? Well, we can't get rid of any club losers, um, but we could rough two hearts in dummy. The singleton heart is a huge asset. When you see that singleton heart, you go, I'm going to rough in dummy. The problem is, as we've seen before, if you take away their trumps first, you have no trump left in dummy. So here's the plan. We'll win the first trick with the ace of clubs, and let's just get started on the heart suit. You have to lose a heart, so lead a heart and lose a trick right away. And now you're in position to rough hearts. Maybe they take a couple of club tricks, you get back in, you rough one of your little hearts in dummy. You come back to your hand, maybe with the ace of diamonds, and you ruff the second heart in dummy. And now you can go ahead and start taking away their trump. So I would think of this as dummy has a huge asset, the singleton heart, and an auxiliary asset, some trumps. So you want to make use of that asset. You don't want to waste your trumps because you need them to use to rough hearts in dummy. And you have to get started on the heart suit right away. Go ahead and lose the trick. You have to lose the trick anyway. Lose it early so that you can start roughing. Here's another example. Contract is two hearts by South. We get the opening lead of the ace of spades. Look at that beautiful singleton spade in dummy. In our hand, we have six possible losing tricks. We're going to lose the ace of trumps. We're going to lose the ace of clubs. And it looks like we could possibly lose four spades. Well, what could we do? Here's our plan. We're going to try to rough two spades in dummy. The singleton spade and the two little hearts, two little trumps, are huge assets. So maybe we can even discard the three of clubs on the king of diamonds. Suppose West continues with the king of spades. Here's what we want to do. I'll do it with the annotator and then I'll show you the text. So they take the ace of spades and they lead the king of spades. We rough it in dummy. We come over to our hand We're going to ruff another spade in dummy, but let's clear the queen of clubs out of, or queen of diamonds out of the way first. And now let's lead a spade and let's ruff it in dummy. And now let's play the king of diamonds. If the diamonds split 3-3, we have 7, they have 6. If they happen to split 3-3, we can throw away our club loser. And wouldn't that be wonderful? We would have ended up in this, as the hand played out this way, we would lose the ace of spades, and we would lose ace of hearts, and we would lose one spade. I'm sorry, we lost the first spade, and we'd lose a second spade later on. So we'd end up taking 10 tricks. Very cool. Let's look at the description. West continues with the king of spades. We ruff it in dummy. We come over to the ace of diamonds. We cash the queen of diamonds, get it out of the way so that we can play the king of diamonds later without having it crash on the queen. Now we ruff a second spade over in dummy. We lead the king of diamonds, hoping they break 3-3, and we discard our losing club. If everything works, we'll end up with 10 tricks, 9 tricks if the diamonds don't break 3-3. Now I want to look at essentially the same hand, but from the point of view of the defense. Defense is super fun. This is going to be kind of a preview of the next 4 weeks. Defense is fun. And as your declarer play gets better, so does your defense. And this is all related to time at the table. West's hand. Contract is 2 hearts by South. Let's not worry about the bidding. West is on lead. Gosh, I'd lead the ace of spades from that. And now dummy comes down. It's a perfectly normal opening lead, hoping that you can start out the defense by taking 2 spade tricks. Dummy comes down. This is the same hand we saw on the previous page. So the ace of spades wins the trick. What should West be thinking on defense when she sees dummy? The ace of spades cleared that singleton. If she tries to play another spade, it's going to get rough. She should be thinking, oh my God, I'm looking at potential spade tricks, but declare's going to ruff the spades in dummy. What can West do on defense? West can lead the ace of trump and another little trump, and that removes all the hearts from dummy. And now whatever spade tricks West is entitled to, she's going to end up getting them. Thinking is the key to playing winning bridge. What we talk about in all these weeks is guidelines and suggestions and best way to approach things. But thinking at the table is what makes the game so much fun. And look at this defense. Play the ace of spades, realize that you want to take spade tricks, but they're going to get roughed. So take the trumps away from dummy. Bang down the ace of trump, play another trump. And now whatever spade tricks you could possibly get, you're going to get. And again, this is the same hand as last page. South's plan was to ruff spades in dummy. If we play defense this way, there's now no way that South can make those other spade losers go away. If West defends this way, instead of the 9 or 10 tricks that we saw on the previous page, South is only going to take 7 tricks. It's amazing. I love defense. So the 10% to remember, ruffing in the short hand will add tricks. Ruffing in the long hand does not add tricks. This is hugely important. Recognize and use dummy's assets, shortness, and trumps, and delay calling trump if you need to use dummy's trump for ruffs. It's a pretty common situation, and you should keep your eye out for it. And a rare situation, sometimes you need to ruff high to avoid an over ruff. This usually only works when you've got plenty of high trump, but it is something to have in the back of your mind. So reminder, we want to make a plan as declarer. When dummy appears, we relax. We take the time to think and make a plan, and we try to remember it. Usually the plan is like 2 bullets, ruff hearts in dummy and take the spade finesse. So usually we can remember it. The more time we spend at the table, the easier it is to remember. In a no trump contract, we count winners and look for ways to take more. In a suit contract, we count losers in the long trump hand and we look for ways to make them go away. That's the presentation. There's some good Bridgemaster exercises. Again, the rare cross rough hand, which is a lot of fun to play out. And then in the coaches' rooms, the hands will be pre-bid. Coach can explain the bidding, and then we'll discuss, play quietly, and go on to the next hand. So thank you, everybody.